In the autumn of 1903, two teams were racing to do something no human had ever done: fly. One had everything: government money, the best minds Harvard could lend, reporters camping on his lawn, waiting to write history. The other team ran a bicycle shop in Ohio. No degrees, no funding, no one watching. And yet the moment the world remembers belongs to the bicycle shop. So here's the question this whole video is going to answer. How does the team with nothing beat the team with everything? The answer is one word. The same word that explains why some companies inspire us for decades while better-funded rivals fade, and most of us get it exactly backwards. Think about the ones who don't fade. Apple reinvents an entire industry, then does it again and again, while competitors with the same engineers, the same factories, the same access to the same talent simply can't keep up. A preacher stands on the steps of a memorial and moves 250,000 people to show up on a single morning. Two brothers get us off the ground. Different centuries, different fields, but every one of them did the exact same thing. And it's the opposite of what the rest of the world does. To see it, we first have to look at how the rest of the world tries to win. Most of us compete by pulling levers. Sales are slow? Drop the price. Need attention? Run the ad that scares people a little. Buy this, or you'll be left behind, left out, left unsafe. Dangle the aspiration. Own this, and you'll finally be the person you want to be. Chase the novelty. Add a feature. Slap new on the box. Sinek calls these carrots and sticks, manipulations. And here's the uncomfortable part. They work. Prices move product. Fear moves teenagers. Manipulation absolutely gets the sale, which is exactly why it's so hard to give up, and exactly why it quietly bankrupts you. Because a manipulation only ever buys a transaction, never a loyalty. Drop your price once, and you've taught your customer to wait for the next discount. Now you're trapped, shaving your own margins forever. Scare people into buying, and they feel the unease every time your name comes up. You win today's sale and lose tomorrow's trust, and you have to spend more to win it back each round. There's a tell. When a company can't explain why you should stay, it just keeps lowering the cost of leaving. But a rare few never seem to play this game at all. They don't push harder. They start somewhere completely different. Sinek noticed it as a pattern, so consistent it felt almost like a law of nature. He drew it as 3 rings, one inside the other, and called it the golden circle. On the outside, what you do. In the middle, how you do it. And at the very center, the smallest ring, the one almost nobody can fill in. Why? Not why, as in to make money. Money is a result, not a reason. Why, as in your purpose, your cause. The belief that gets you out of bed. And the man who drew this had, not long before, lost his own reason for getting up in the morning. Hold on to that. We'll come back to him. Here's the trap. Every company on earth knows what it does. Some know how they do it, the special process, the thing that makes them different. But ask why, what they actually believe, and you get silence, or you get, well, to make money. So watch how the ordinary company talks. It goes from the outside in. Here's what we make. Here's how it's great. Please buy it. Clearest thing first, fuzziest thing last. The inspiring few flip the entire circle. They start at the center. They start with why, and everything they say after that lands differently. Picture Apple selling you a computer the ordinary way. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed and easy to use. Want to buy one? Technically perfect. Completely forgettable. Now flip it. In everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo, in thinking differently. The way we do that is by making products that are beautifully designed and simple to use. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Same facts, same product. But the second one doesn't feel like a sales pitch. It feels like something you'd want to belong to. Nothing changed except the order. Everything changed because of the order. Which brings us to the line at the heart of the whole book. People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. The gadget, the airline seat, the pair of sneakers, those aren't the reason anyone becomes a believer. They're proof of the reason. Tangible evidence of a belief you already share. Buy an Apple product and you're not just getting a laptop, you're telling the world how you see yourself. But if this were only clever marketing, it would wear off. It doesn't. And that's because it isn't marketing at all. It's biology. The 3 rings aren't just a diagram. They map onto the human brain. The outer ring, what? Corresponds to the neocortex, the newest, most analytical part, the part that handles facts, features, language. But the 2 inner rings, how and why, map to the limbic brain. That older core runs your feelings, trust, loyalty, and every decision you make. Here's the catch. The limbic brain has no capacity for language. So when a choice just feels right and you can't explain why, that's not weakness. That's the deciding part of your brain doing its job in the only way it can, without words. Pile on facts and figures, and you're talking to the wrong part entirely. So AY is powerful and fragile. Say it once, and it's a slogan. To actually move people, it needs 2 things around it: discipline and consistency. The how has to be lived, and the what has to prove the why over and over, or the whole thing collapses into empty words. Southwest Airlines is the clean example. Southwest, Sinek argues, wasn't really built to be an airline. It was built to champion a cause, the freedom of the everyday person to go and see and do. The airline was just the proof, and who they refused to be mattered as much as who they were. In the early 1970s, only about 15% of Americans had ever flown. Flying was for the wealthy, the important, the business elite. So while every other carrier fought over that same thin slice, Southwest said something almost absurd. We don't compete against other airlines. We compete against the car and the bus. They weren't chasing the 15% who already flew. They were the champion for the other 85%, the common man who'd never been invited into the sky. Low fares weren't the belief. Low fares were what the belief looked like on a price tag. And when a belief is that clear, something rare starts to happen inside the company itself. Trust. Continental Airlines was once the worst airline in America. Late, hated, bleeding money. Gordon Bethune took over and turned it into one of the best, and he didn't do it by buying new planes. He rebuilt the culture. He gave the people a reason to care again, and the trust that grew from that reason is what actually fixed the airline. Because here's the goal Sinek keeps circling back to. The point isn't to do business with everyone who wants what you sell. It's to do business with the people who believe what you believe. Do that, and trust emerges on its own. And now we can finally go back to that field in 1903. Samuel Pierpont Langley had every ingredient for success. A $50,000 grant from the War Department, a post at the Smithsonian, brilliant minds on his team, and the newspapers already writing his legend. He wanted to be first. He wanted the fame that came with flight. 200 miles away, Wilbur and Orville Wright had none of that. A bicycle shop, no college degrees, a team that believed they were about to change the world. And on December 17, 1903, on a field at Kitty Hawk, the bicycle shop brothers flew. 12 seconds that rewrote everything. Here's the tell. The day the Wrights succeeded, Langley quit. Because his goal was to be first, and once he wasn't, there was nothing left to believe in. But a believer alone changes nothing. You need a following, and followings obey a strange math. Sinek borrows the law of diffusion. On any new idea, the first 2.5% of people are the innovators, the next 13.5% the early adopters. These are the ones who buy on belief before the proof, because it fits who they are. Behind them sits the vast, skeptical majority who won't move until other people already have. And there's a wall. You cannot reach that majority directly. You have to win the believers first, the 15 to 18%, and only then does the idea tip and pour into the mainstream. Skip them, sell straight to the middle, and you get TiVo. TiVo may have been the best consumer product of its era. It was so good, its name became a verb. People said they'd TiVo'd a show years before most had one. It had money, patents, the press. It should have owned the world. Instead, it nearly went bankrupt. In its first year, it sold a few tens of thousands of units. One brutal headline noted there were more outhouses in America than TiVos. What went wrong? TiVo sold what? A list of features aimed straight at that skeptical majority who never moved first. It never gave anyone a why to believe in. The best product lost to the worst strategy. Now watch the opposite happen, with no product at all. August 28, 1963. 250,000 people travel from every corner of a divided country and gather at the Lincoln Memorial on a single morning. No one mailed 250,000 invitations. There was no website, no mass email, no way to RSVP. They came because of what they believed and because they knew others believed it too. And when Martin Luther King rose to speak, he did not hand them a policy. He gave the "I have a dream" speech, not the "I have a plan" speech. He told them what he believed and let them make it theirs. He offered a place to go, not a set of steps to follow. That is the law of diffusion in flesh and blood. So how does a belief travel from one person to 250,000? Picture the organization as a megaphone. Everything it makes, everything it says, amplifies the why at its center out into the world. But a megaphone only makes you louder. It doesn't make you clear. Point a megaphone at noise, and you just get louder noise. So clarity has to come first. You have to know what you believe before the volume means anything. And the surprising part, this kind of communication isn't really about speaking at all. It's about listening. It's about people out there hearing their own belief in your voice. And once you know your why, decisions get strangely easy. Sinek calls it the Celery Test. Imagine you're at a party and everyone's giving you advice on what to buy. One says M&Ms, one says rice milk, one swears by Oreos, another insists on celery. Follow all of it and your cart is a contradiction. But if you know your why, say staying healthy, you walk the aisles and it's obvious. You reach for the celery and the rice milk and walk right past the rest. And here's the bonus. When people see your cart, they know exactly what you believe without you saying a word. A clear why is a filter that makes the right choice self-evident. But a why by itself can float away into a nice idea that never ships. Visionaries, the why people, usually can't build the thing. They need a how person beside them. The operator who turns the dream into a working machine. Walt Disney had his brother Roy. Bill Gates had Paul Allen. Steve Jobs had Steve Wozniak. Think of Microsoft's two faces. Steve Ballmer, all roaring energy, bounding across a stage. And Gates, quiet, almost shy. Yet the one people truly followed. Energy can excite a room for an afternoon. Only charisma, which comes from conviction from a clear why, inspires people to follow you for years. And that partnership is exactly what gets fragile when a company finally wins. Because the biggest threat to a why isn't failure, it's success. When a company is small, the founder's belief is everywhere. You can feel it. But as it grows, the why gets harder to see, and the what, the sales, the metrics, the price, quietly takes the wheel. Sam Walton built Walmart on a belief about people. Take care of your people and your customers, and they'll take care of you. He didn't invent low prices. Kmart and Target were already there. He won on the belief underneath them. But after Walton died, the company slowly drifted from why it existed towards simply what it sold, the lowest number on the tag, and something essential broke. The belief had gone fuzzy. So where does a why come from, and how do you get it back? Not from the future, Sinek says, from the past. A why isn't invented, it's discovered. You find it by looking in the exact opposite direction from where you're headed, back into who you've always been. And the man who drew those 3 rings knows this because he lived it. Remember the reason to get up in the morning that he'd lost? Simon Sinek had fallen out of love with his own work, sunk into a dark place, until he traced his way back and found his why, to inspire people to do the things that inspire them. This book is that why, made visible. He didn't build the idea, he recovered it. Which leaves one last question. Who exactly are you trying to beat? There's a boy named Ben Common. Ben runs cross-country for his high school, and Ben has cerebral palsy. He finishes every race dead last, not by a little, by 20 minutes, and along the way, he falls again and again on the uneven ground. But watch what happens near the end of his races. The other runners, the ones who finished long ago, turn around and come back, and they run him in, surrounding him, carrying him home with their voices. When you compete against everyone else, no one wants to help you. But when you compete against yourself, everyone does. Ben already understands the whole book. He never runs to beat them. He runs to be better than the boy he was yesterday. So, back to that field in Ohio and the 12 seconds that changed the world. The team with everything lost to the team with the belief, and every story since has repeated the same shape. The ones who last don't start with what they do, or even how well they do it. They start with why. It's the difference between customers and believers, between a sale and a following, between being copied and being followed. So the real question was never about the Wright brothers, or Apple, or a boy running last in the mud. It's about you, not what you do. Everyone can see that. But why you do it. Figure that out, say it first, and watch who comes running to help you. If this pulled something loose in you, stay with us. Next, the book on how the best leaders make people feel safe enough to give everything they've got.